Hello, I'd like to give a graphical or statistical view at Corona. And now the thing is, we could actually look at Corona from an I perspective, so from myself or my family, or maybe my village, my community, my country, or the world. But it doesn't matter at what level we look at it. We can actually do a graphical or statistical view how many mortals we will have. So how many casualties. So I would write it death, the death rate or something like that, the number of people that die. And what you usually do is you draw the year. Let's draw a year like this from July 2019 to June 2020. And now what we usually see, and that I draw in green, is a normal curve of people dying. So in this axis there's actually the number of death people, yeah. And usually we have death people by viruses, and usually these influenza viruses. So you would have that kind of, this is mid-year, so this would be December, so end of year, sorry, December 31st. So you would see at the beginning of a winter, kind of a raising and then going, so people that die because of some virus, influenza A or something like that. And that is normal. Some years it's more and some years it's less. What we now see is that I want to show, so I write here normal. Green is normal, the normal curve of people dying. And now what I want to draw is the curve for when we take good measures. So we quarantine people and so on. So we would have something like that and going down. And maybe because we by quarantine, we actually create islands, so specific islands where there are no casualties. And these people are then not immune because they didn't have the disease. And then maybe flaming up again. So you would have something like a flame, a wave like that. So this is with measures. Yeah, so and the number of death people is obviously always the here the area below these curves. So this is number of casualties. Now, what would happen in case that we do nothing against this and the health system doesn't collapse? So if we don't do anything against it, we would have a faster raise and then much more casualties, but then going down, they will die very early, and then going down, and I would assume it's less than this, and then going something like that, and maybe not having that much of a wave because most people get it right here, and then going like this. So this would be without measures, but with the health system okay. Yeah, so the health system can still cope with it. So we would have those casualties. And now I think the biggest threat is that you go up with the death rate, and then in some areas, maybe in countries or areas or the whole world, the health system collapses. And then you would have much more casualties and, then maybe going down like this. And now the thing is, so you would have much more casualties. And why much more? Because you know, usually, why much more? Because here people would die that usually won't die. Somebody that is maybe 40 years old, he might die here because there's no hospital that can treat him, and so on, because the beds are all taken, the machines are all taken. So even like people at the age of 40 that are perfectly healthy would die. And that is actually this really bad problem, so which is without measures, and the health system collapse. Yeah, then you would have this area. Now, just to explain a little bit the curves, or the death underneath the curves. You know, if like influenza here, these people die, let's say, usually the very weak people would die here, and they would die in influenza maybe during the next 12 months or 24 months or so on, maybe like 2-3 years or so. When in the blue area, that is kind of the same. Those people would die maybe a year or two later. The one where the health system is okay and without measures, here's the kind of the same, you know, during the next 1 to 3 years, these people might have died, most of them. It's a distribution, maybe some would have still survived for 30 years. But in the red area, and that is the disastrous area, those people in the red area, so without measures and the health system collapsing, these people are actually people, so we kind of build up the death people of people that would otherwise die within the next 10, 20, 30 years. And that makes it, you know, that makes it very, very hard. And now the thing is, what is my conclusion out of that? And the conclusion for me is, I write that in green, shift that a little bit over. So the conclusion starts with a comment, you know, comment. And the comment is, I could be wrong. Could be wrong with this. I could be wrong. And why is that? Because it's first, so why could I be wrong? Why? Because first, it's the future. And predicting the future is always with some form of error. You know, often the error is just a little bit, but second, we have an exponential system with a lot of parameters. So what you have in an exponential system, you have something like that goes way up. Now the thing is, if I do a little error here, if I do it here, yeah, well, then okay. But if I do the error here, and then it could be, you know, just a day later, it could be there, double that. So that is why in an exponential system, the error you do, and you will always do errors when you predict the future, will be exponential. But now the conclusion is, for me, the risk, you know, for the health system to collapse, and then we have the casualties of maybe the next 10 to 30 years. You know, people that otherwise would have lived for another 10, 30, 40, 50 years. That is a disaster. And that the risk, you know, means I would rather not, so that means not risk this curve, but try, sorry, it would be blue, try the blue. That means I want this curve. Obviously, I would like the flat curve, but life is always a little bit hard. So the blue, so I'm going for the blue. That is the conclusion. And now I want to end the video with a question. And the question is, the economy and the you know, what is that? What is the impact on economy and people? The social behavior of people. So economy, I don't know, money, you know, dollars and pounds and euros, and the people. So will they be better, you know, better people, or will they, after it's all over, be worse? So what is the social behavior that we create with this experience? So I hope that the economy recovers and the people actually turn out and find what actually makes us humans. So the social behavior, I hope we will have a benefit after having tackled this crisis and after having done the crisis with this blue curve. Okay, comments are most welcome. I hope that was useful, and take care and talk to you next time. Bye bye.